to boost investments. Thank you so much, Mr. Maclean.
Great, it's great to be here. Thank you.
All right. And of course, as we progress with this discussion, we'll be having some interesting anecdotes of data that we have prepared for you. And just picking it off from Kenya as a country, we have been really trying to boost our housing agenda in regards to opening up new spaces in counties, at the same time boosting the housing narrative. From your experience so far, are we moving in the right direction and at the right pace?
Yeah, thank you. I think we've got some fantastic initiatives in place, and we are definitely moving forward. Fusion's view on this is kind of slightly different to the rest of the market in that we in the affordable housing space, we look at housing people kind of below the $500 a month income mark, so 50,000 shillings. So really we've been focused on affordable rentals, really looking at people who want to spend $120 to $150 a month in their accommodation. We think that's a big demand space. But yeah, the market is progressing well, not as quickly as I think we need it to. But there are players like Fusion coming into the market that hopefully will accelerate that.
All right. And perhaps from where you sit, what is driving the interest in Kenya? And we're seeing a lot of buzz when it comes to foreign investors.
Yeah, I mean, I can only really talk from our point of view. But when we're looking at a market, we look for two things really. So either growth or opportunity. And the great thing about Kenya as a market is you genuinely have both. So kind of from our point of view, you look at year-on-year GDP growth, that's fantastic, that's where you want to invest. But also from a real estate point of view, the average rate of urbanization in Kenya is 15%. That means our cities are growing at 15% per year. That's huge demand, something to build into. And then opportunity, opportunity is huge, and it's not, and sometimes you can even get first mover opportunities. So, and I think we're going to talk a bit more about Meru later, but we're currently building a retail space in Meru, and Meru has 1.5 million people in that county and no more. So genuine first mover advantage, genuine opportunity.
Speaking about this, of course, we've seen rising middle class in the country and, of course, increased spending. The pandemic has had a big impact when it comes to disposable incomes. And are you concerned about the uptick of some of these investments that you're making, especially in the counties?
Sure. So I don't think it's a secret that COVID-19 has affected pretty much every industry. I mean, two of our main focuses at the moment as Fusion Capital are low-income affordable housing. That hasn't been affected. In fact, we've seen demand grow, pressure coming from the top as people look to downsize. And then another big sector that we're into, understanding that the mortgage provision in this country is so low, the way people build their houses, the way we all build our houses is we buy a plot, after a while we build our house, then we live in it. So we've done a lot of, we do a lot of land subdivision and sale projects, and the demand there has been incredible. A lot of people internationally and locally looking to park their money somewhere safe. Land is safe, it's a good investment, and we've seen a big uptake in diaspora investment there.
All right. And speaking about this investment that you're putting up in Meru, this includes a substantial investment indeed of close to 800 million shillings. And what would you say about our retail culture as a country in regards to the fast changing needs of the modern day Kenyan?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we think our project in Meru, Greenwood City, is just a fantastic project. Demand is there. People are spending, and they're spending in supermarkets, at opticians, at pharmacies. And there's still a huge demand. There's an oversupply in some areas, I think, but the demand and the ability to pay, as you say, the emerging middle class is there. And that's what we're trying to build into. So with Greenwood City, as I said, there is no mall there. There is no isolated retail location that's serving that huge huge county, and yeah, I think the demand is definitely there, and the spending power is there as well.
All right. And looking at the big picture in regards to the investment climate, so far we know that our economy did register a drop in regards to economic growth numbers. We only grew by 0.66%. And from where you sit, I know you have investments across not just Kenya, but also in Rwanda and a few other countries out there. Perhaps what are you seeing when you look at the trends as regards to governments scaling up infrastructure as well as unlocking urban nodes across different jurisdictions?
Yeah, so I think in all the markets we're in, we're pretty optimistic about the changing infrastructure. You know, again, if you look at the counties up and around Mount Kenya, there's a new road being built, being completed, I think kind of mid next year. And you know, that's going to cut off 40 minutes of the commute time to places like Nanyuki, Meru, and areas around Mount Kenya. Those kind of, you can't put a value, or you can't stress how much value you get out of those changes in infrastructure. Cutting 40 minutes off someone's day has a huge impact in value and in GDP growth. And yes, we've had a slow year. I think the entire world has had a slow year, but we're seeing it bounce back. At the Fusion level, yeah, I can really talk about kind of what we've seen, but we've seen the lull, and now we're seeing the spike. We're seeing demand come back, which is great, and it's great to see.
All right, and perhaps walk us through the numbers. How is the turnover looking like?
Sorry, at what, in projects and purchases?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'd say we saw a 50% reduction in sales. I'm talking specifically now about land and office space, which is where we have the bulk of our sellable assets. We saw probably about a 50% decrease in 2019, and now I'd say we're at about a 20% decrease on where we'd expect to be. So the recovery is coming back. The recovery is coming back quickly. In land, it's already there. Land sales are back to where they were, definitely for us. And as I say, our other income area, affordable rentals, we haven't really seen an impact. We haven't seen a decline because you know, the great thing about being in the middle of a market is when things are good, people aspirationally move up into your accommodation, and when things are bad, people downsize into your accommodation. So I think we've been relatively well positioned there.
All right. And as we wrap it up, what do you see in your crystal ball when you look at the real estate sector and, of course, the gradual recovery in different markets?
I think, well, we think commercial real estate is going to be tough for the next couple of years. The trends and the way people use office space, not retail, the way people use office space is changing, and I don't think it's settled into its new equilibrium. So that's going to happen. But that opens up the opportunity for repositioning. So, you know, we're looking at, I think there's going to be a lot of people going into repositioning office space into rental property for residential or into storage or services. And definitely our opinion is the biggest gap in the market right now is affordable rental properties. Getting the price right, really at the right level, putting in proper infrastructure, you know, making sure these buildings are green, but also super safe when it comes to kind of life, fire and safety. We think that's the biggest demand sector at the moment, and people positioned to move into that space will do very well.
All right, thank you so much for your insights, and we look forward to keeping a close eye on how the property market continues to evolve. Well, still staying on matters housing, we want to bring in my colleague, that is Brian George, joining us from our City Center studios, who will be giving us a quick update in regards to the same issue we are talking about, affordable